Before we start today's lesson, I wanted to give you guys a little review on finding the velocity and acceleration function given a position function. And so this first covered, I think, in chapter 2 when we looked at derivatives and how it applied to the long limit definition formula, when we look at instantaneous velocity and that kind of stuff. But this does happen to pertain to today's lesson. We're going to be looking at particle motion problems, but we need a little refresher. So remember, for given position, which usually is notated as s of t, that the derivative of that ends up being velocity. And your velocity function, the derivative of that, ends up being acceleration. So if I'm giving the position function, then my velocity function would just be by power rule, 3t squared minus 4t minus 5. And then the acceleration function by power rule, if I took the derivative of velocity, which is the second derivative of position, that would be 6t minus 4. So today's lesson's on section 3.7 in our books. It's called Rates of Change in the Natural and Social Sciences. We're looking at derivatives and applying it to sort of some real-world applications in this section. The reason that we had that review originally is because today we're going to be looking at finding velocity, acceleration, looking at when the particle's at rest, which means the velocity is at 0, looking at when a particle's farthest to the right or farthest to the left or farthest up, down, whatever that might be, however it's defined, looking at total distance traveled of the particle, but primarily we're focusing on particle motion type problems and answering a variety of questions with these. So here's our first problem of the day. It's the only problem that we're going to go over together as a class. I'm going to have you guys try one on your own here in a little bit and have you guys actually work on some group work problems that pertains to an actual common exam question. So here it says the position of the particle is given by the equation below. So it's t cubed minus 6t squared plus 9t, where t is measured in seconds and s is in meters. So let's think about that as far as our units goes. The first question says find velocity at time t. The second one is what is the velocity at 2 seconds and at 4 seconds. When is it at rest? When is it moving forward? Total distance traveled, acceleration, speeding up, slowing down. All of these questions can be hit or miss on a common exam, but they're all good to know on how to answer these algebraically. So it says the first question, find the velocity at time t. Well, that just means find the equation of what velocity would be. And so velocity, remember, is the derivative of position. So by simply power rule here, it ends up being 3t squared minus 12t plus 9. So part A is done. Part B says, what is the velocity at 2 seconds and at 4 seconds? This means we would actually be subbing in 2 and subbing in 4 to get our answer for B. So if I sub in 2 and evaluate, I believe I get an answer of -3. And my units here, since it's velocity, meters and seconds, it'd be meters per second. That's a speed. And then if I subbed in 4, wherever I see a t, to find when the velocity is in 4 seconds, I believe I get 9 meters per second. So we just answered part B. When is the particle at rest? So when it's at rest would be meaning that it's not moving at all, which means the velocity is 0. And so if we have our velocity function, so this is for part C, when is this equal to 0? Well, it looks like a quadratic function. In fact, I can factor out a 3 here out of each of the terms. Let's see if that helps me out a little bit. Yep, it looks like it's factorable. In fact, if I factor that, I believe it's -3 and t minus 1. And so that means at 1 second and at 3 seconds, that's when the particle is at rest. Now for part D, it says when is the particle moving forward? That is in a positive direction. And sometimes it might ask when is it moving upward, downward, forward, in a positive direction itself, it might say. This is really pertaining to when is the velocity positive. And so to figure that out, let's do a sign chart of the velocity function. And so we already know where they're at rest. In fact, remember time is always positive here. So on our sign charts today, we're always going to start at 0 and proceed on with positive values. And so notice the particles at rest at t equals 1 and t equals 3 seconds. So we do want to mark that on our number line here when we're doing our sign chart. And remember, the sign chart's based off the velocity here, and it's just a matter of some plus and minus signs that we got to figure out. And so let's pick a value between 0 and 1 here and plug it into, you could either plug it into the original velocity function or you can plug it into the factored form. Doesn't matter. But we're really just trying to see if it's positive or negative between that time interval. So if I subbed in like t equals 1/2 right here, notice I'm going to get a negative answer here, so it's going to be negative 2.5 multiplied by another negative number. So if I take a negative times a negative, that ends up being a positive value. In fact, if I sub in 2 now for t, wherever I see a t, if I subbed in 2, the first part would be 2 minus 3, which is negative 1, but then I'd also get multiplied by 2 minus 1, which is positive 1, so I get a negative answer there. And if I plug in any bigger values than 3, such as 4, if I tested that answer and sub that in, you're going to get a positive output. And so there's our sign chart to answer part D. And so when is it moving forward would be when the sign has a positive direction. And so our answer would be from 0 to 1 second and also from 3 to infinity, or past 3. So let's take a look at the last 3 questions in the same problem. It says find the total distance traveled by the particle during the first 5 seconds. And so if you already know from the slide before that it's moving in a positive direction between 0 and 1 and 3 to infinity, or 3 to 5 seconds here, when it says total distance traveled, that means any distance that you actually are working back, if it's moving backwards, we're going to still treat that as positive distance. So the old saying is if I move 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, total distance I would have is 3 steps. But the net distance from where I ended up with, that would be 1 step away from where I started. So if I were to find total distance traveled, remember that sign chart that we had before? It was kind of helpful. We had 0 to 1, 1 to 3, it was plus, between minus, plus, I believe. Having that sign chart where it tells us where, number 1, it's positive, and number 2, where it's negative. And to find total distance traveled, we're going to subtract where you ended up from where you started. And those are all based off of the time values here. And so we want to find the total distance traveled between 0 and 1. So that's going to be s of 1 minus s of 0. We want to find between 1 and 3. So s of 3 minus s of 1. And then we also, remember this is to 5 seconds, so we're going to cap this off. But we also want to find the distance from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. And this is distance traveled, so we're all plugging it into the position function itself, not velocity. And so if I did s of 1, if I plugged in 1 in for t there, it looks like I get positive 4 minus 0. So it has a distance of 4 there, traveling from 0 to 1. If I sub in 3 for the function, it looks like I get an answer of 0 minus s of 1 we already figured out was 4. And since this is negative, we actually end up getting a negative 4. Since it's total distance traveled, we want to treat that as positive. So we're going to put an absolute value around that and call it positive 4. It still moved the positive 4 distance. And then the last position, s of 5 minus s of 3. Well, if I sub in 5, I believe I get 20. Subbing in 3, we already know is 0. So it gives a total distance of 20 there. And so the total distance traveled is, if I were to add all these up, 4 plus 4 plus 20, that would give me a total of 28 meters traveled. Now if I said what's the net distance, we would subtract that 4 off of the 24, and so 20 meters would be net distance, 28 meters would be total distance traveled. And a lot of times in the book, if it asks you find the distance, it's pertaining to total distance traveled. It'll say find the net distance if it's pertaining to that. So taking a look at the last couple questions here. So part F says find the acceleration at time t after 4 seconds. And so remember, Velocity is the derivative of position, which is 3t squared minus 12t plus 9. Acceleration then would be the derivative of velocity, so 6t minus 12. And if I wanted to find after 4 seconds, well, this would be our at time t, that would be the model for it. And after 4 seconds would be simply subbing in 4 to see what it would be, and it looks like it's going to be 12 meters per second. And the last part, G, it says when is the particle speeding up, slowing down? We're going to answer this one doing a double sign chart of both the velocity and acceleration. And so for any time it's asking speeding up, slowing down, we use our velocity sign chart from before. So remember, we always start at 0 because time is positive. We had two values there, plus, minus, plus. That was our velocity sign chart. And we're going to do an acceleration sign chart also, because when a function's speeding up doesn't always necessarily mean that the velocity is positive, or when it's slowing down that the velocity is negative. It could be speeding up as if you have a negative velocity but also with a negative acceleration. So they have to be the same sign in order for it to be speeding up or slowing down. And so our acceleration function was 6t minus 12. And the 0 of this function would be, I'd have to plot an additional value of 2 here because that's when the acceleration is 0. In fact, if I plug in anything less than 2 for my acceleration, I get a negative acceleration. And so I'm going to put both negative signs down below because it's going to be a negative acceleration there. And from 2 to 3, anything past 2, in fact, if I plug in anything bigger than 2, it's always going to be a positive value. So I'm going to do a double plus sign there, in fact. So notice when it's speeding up is when they're going to have the same sign. They have the same signs between 1 and 2 because both of them are negative there, and also after 3. So we'd say speeding up would be from 1 to 2 and 3 to infinity. And then where it's slowing down would be when they have opposite signs. So between 0 and 1 they have opposite signs, and also between 2 and 3. So here's some problems I want you guys to try on your own. It pertains to our last problem that we did all together, so make sure you kind of look back on the notes there. Make sure you show all the work supported in order to get the full credit. When you get to part C down below, it says find the distance traveled. Again, that's referring to total distance traveled, so you might want to refer back to that example that we went over. And the last part, speeding up, slowing down, that's when you're going to do a double sign chart. So pause the video, try the best you can with this one, and we'll go over this in a few seconds. Good luck. Alright, so for part A, it's just simply finding the equations for these. So if I did velocity, which is the power rule there, a position, that would be 3t squared minus 12, and acceleration would be 6t itself. And so we've taken care of part A. One is the particle moving upward, one is it moving downward. So remember, this is referring to the velocity sign chart. And so for part B, if I were to take my velocity function, factor out a 3, notice that it's a difference of squares. I see that two places where the particle's at rest, at t equals 2 seconds and at t equals negative 2 seconds. But remember, time is positive, so we can kind of throw out the t equals negative 2 there and just plot 0 and 2 on our number line. And if I make a sign chart here, if I sub in 1, for instance, for velocity, in fact, you could do it to the original if you want, but if you subbed in 1, you're going to get a negative value. If you sub in bigger than 2, like 3, you're going to get a positive output. So there you go. It's moving upward past 2, so 2 to infinity, and it's moving downward between 0 and 2. Finding the total distance traveled here. Notice on our sign chart we see that it moves negative between 0 and 2, so we want to find the distance traveled between 0 and 2 seconds, taking the difference of the where you end up in both time values. And remember, since that's negative, we want to treat that as positive, so doing the absolute value of that. And then we also want to find case of, it says 0 to 3 seconds, we're going to find the position traveled from 2 to 3 seconds, and that's already going to be positive. So if I sub in 2 for my position function, looks like I get negative 13 minus, if I sub in 0, I get 3. And so I want to treat that as, instead of negative 16, as positive 16 distance. If I sub in 3, looks like I get negative 6 minus, if I sub in 2, I get negative 13. And so if I add that up, I get negative 6 plus 13, which is positive 7. And I would add those two together, get my total distance traveled of 23 meters you should have got. And the last one, which is, when is this particle speeding up or slowing down? This is that double sign chart that we're talking about. So velocity sign chart, remember, was 0 to 2, negative to positive. That was my velocity. Acceleration sign chart. And so remember, velocity was 3t squared minus 12. Acceleration was 6t. And so notice the only 0 here is 0 itself. In fact, the acceleration is always positive. And so when is it speeding up would be when they have the same signs. So speeding up would be from 2 to infinity. And when is it slowing down? That would be when they have opposite signs, so from 0 to 2. So hopefully you answered all 4 of those questions there, and with all the supported work. With the time remaining, there's some group work that I'd like you to try on your own before you get to the homework. This is from an actual common exam problem pertaining to these particle motion types. This always tends to be a hit or miss topic on that second common exam coming up, but there's 6 questions here, so A through C there, and you're going to see, or actually 7 questions, D through G there. And again, make sure you show all the supported work. I have the key online for you guys to check your answers. So make sure you look at the rubric and how the professors kind of develop that rubric and how many points is worth whatever steps you put. But once you finish that group work and check the key, you're free to work on the very small homework. However, number 1, 3, and 5 might have that part A through F like we just went through in class. So try your best on it, keep up, and keep plugging away, guys. You're doing a great job. Have a great day.